lasts up to 45 years. So that lasts up to 45 years, that one does, and that one does. This bulb costs $1 a year to run, so does that, so does that, so does that. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no app.
Really? An LED bulb that lasts 45 years? Has anybody seen an LED bulb that actually lasts 45 years? Since they have a switching mode power supply in them, will the capacitors, the cheap Chinese capacitors in those switching mode power supplies that are in those LEDs, will those capacitors last 45 years?
I want you to hear what I heard from our dear friend Julie Truster, who joins us tonight. Julie, it's not only a popular item, it's the most highly reviewed of all the living globes.
Yeah, the reviews are insane. They are so good if you have any questions. But I want you to see the bulb. It's a standard everyday bulb. It fits a standard socket. All you have to do, take your old bulb out, screw this one in, and then watch what happens when you screw it in. Okay.
Wow, it lights up when you screw it in.
And it goes away. So they don't work during the day. So what we're going to do...
Anyway, I got to stop.
The lamp too. Now we're going to dim the lights all the way down. It's going to get really, really dark. We'll get really
Wow,
dark.
it gets really dark when you turn the lights off.
Everything is automatic with these.
I'm not touching anything.
You don't have to do a thing.
Wow.
That's it. So at nighttime, they automatically turn on. Leave your light switch off.
Wow, deep, like 1940s technology. Anyway, I got to stop. This video has a purpose. So let me start where I should have started. 1968, Packard Bell, new old stock test set, 2-year anniversary. This video was an ongoing test. We took this 1968 Packard Bell color console, which was pretty much new old stock, and we did a thorough analysis of it and put it into full-time daily driver service. And it's been running for 2 years, and it's a main TV in a living room where it's run 10 to 12 hours a day. We will figure that out because it has an hour meter in it, so we can do all kinds of calculations. And the whole purpose of this video is just to take a new old stock set like this, slam it into modern daily use, and document all the failures and the life of things. And the number one takeaway so far, and I'm going to say this probably has about 10,000 hours on it now, is vacuum tubes last a long time. Vacuum tubes last a long time. Anytime I ever talk to anybody about working on vintage electronics, the first thing they always say is, well, can you get the tubes? Are tubes still available? Well, of course we know they are. But they're usually not one of the main things to fail in a TV or a radio. I mean, they can. The only vacuum tube that's failed in this set in 10,000 hours, or however many hours, we'll get it open and look at the hour meter, was the audio output tube suffered an internal mechanical failure. Let's go back to this right here.
What time it's going to get dark, or what time in the morning. These are also a great safety bulb. In fact, one of the reviewers called it, she said, I feel so much safer with it because they automatically come on and off. You can be even out of town. And the thing about this is they're going to be off during the day.
Simple things for simple people. Anyway, the picture has sort of gotten dimmer and it's soft and blurry. I haven't done an update on this set in quite a while because the problems have really tapered off. You know, there were a lot of problems initially when we put it into service. Within the first couple months, I was doing videos on it all the time. There were all kinds of failures. So what's happened is the problems have gradually tapered off as all the things, you know, the weak spots got worked out of it. The problems have really tapered off. Most of the electrolytics are original in this. Some of them did fail within the first few thousand hours, and those got changed, and that's it. And we can go through, I will do a whiteboard portion of this video. We'll go through what's failed when, we'll go through the amount of power consumption, what it's cost to run it, all of that. But the first thing I sort of want to address is we'll do a basic setup on it and kind of get a, maybe I'll check the CRT and we can compare it back to what it was when it was new. But, you know, the main thing is it's gotten really kind of soft and blurry. That could be the...
It's just a matter of personal preference. And they're so easy, so I'll show you again installation. And
Wow, easy installation light bulb. You just screw it in.
800 lumens. They made it a little bit brighter because it's outside, so you're not just lighting up a room.
Wow.
So here it is. You can see it looks like a regular bulb. All you have to do, just screw it in, keep your light switch on, and then it's going to flash.
Wow,
So remember,
screw it
they don't work during
in.
the day, they automatically come on at night. So we'll show you again. We'll dim the lights.
Here we go.
No app. There's nothing with the phone. These are the easiest things that I have ever had. Watch this.
We didn't touch anything.
You didn't touch anything.
Automatic.
Yep. Automatic. And now we had a question. People say, well, can you turn it off? Yep. They work like, if you want to turn them off, they work like a regular light. Now, I put it in a lamp because maybe you have in the front of your house, your living room, and you want it to look like you're at home, or you need a little bit of light.
Yeah, you want it to look like, okay, I'm going to try and adjust the focus a little bit. Let's take a peek in the back and maybe pop the CRT tester on it and kind of see, you know, the condition of the CRT. It was very, very strong when it was new. It would hold full emissions all the way down to like 3 volts or something. I don't think that's the case now. And then we do a setup on it, and we'll do a whiteboard paper thing where we look at what's failed. And there haven't been many failures this past year. Like I said, this is the 2-year anniversary. And I know I'm a few days early. The anniversary is October 10th. And today is October 6th, 2024. So let me get it. Let me get it open. Watch this woman get so emotional over these stupid light bulbs.
It's just a no-brainer, and everyone.
A no-brainer.
Especially with outdoor lights, you forget to turn them on, so the house outside is black. Or you leave them on all day long. You get home from work, it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot to turn them off. They've been on all day. And you know, you said, Julie, that a lot of the bad guys, they look for the houses that have not turned their outside lights off.
It's a good thing you don't have weapons in the house.
Clever idea.
So yeah, they're saying the electricity to run one of these is $1 a year per bulb. Well, in this video, we're going to calculate what I pay per kilowatt here in LA, which will probably be about the cost across the country if the election goes a certain direction. And I think we're paying probably close to 35 to 40 cents a kilowatt. So even if that's a 10-watt bulb, that would be, say, 100 watts a day. So in 10 days, it would be like 50 cents. So I don't know, and I gotta say kilowatt hour. I think we're around 30, but we'll actually calculate that. I'm gonna bring out an electric bill, and we're gonna just divide the cost by the number of kilowatts used. And why do I have to use this trash? Because there's no copyright on it. It's not good content, but pretty much any good content these days will get flagged in the YouTube copyright thing.
It has reduced my kitchen odors. That's why they bought it. Maybe they cook a lot or anything like that.
11,269 hours.
Somewhere in the room, maybe when it rains, got rid of that, right? Someone says,
And I forget exactly when I installed this, but it's used.
I don't notice it in the room.
We're at this is a little low. We're probably at about 115 volts right now. This is reading a little bit low, but that's what it uses, 241 watts, and that's actually real power, not apparent power. This thing is not showing us the volt amps, it's showing us the watts. And it's used 1,264 kilowatts. I forget, this has not been in there for a year. Yeah, so 11,000 hours.
All the things that can be eliminated.
Almost all the horizontal output tube is original. All these tubes are all original.
The difference. This is a real filter from someone that is on our team.
I put these here. I was trying to dry them out. These are
Does it really work? Like, yeah,
old mica capacitors, and they were leaky. I got these in an estate sale. They were like, this is a 047 at 1200 volt mica capacitor, and some of these were leaky. So I decided I would put them here to try and bake them out and see if they had moisture in them.
Also just take a vacuum cleaner attachment and suck all this off, which is what I do in my house.
Ooh.
But he ended up, after 2 months, this happened to him again. So he started realizing, like, oh my gosh, I've been breathing this all in when I
You have. I put it in setup mode, and you can see we got just a very dim red line. So I'm going to adjust that. No signal. We've already got the screens pegged out, so I'm going to have to start bringing the bias up. Yeah, I had to bring the green is all the way up. The green screen is all the way up, and I had to bring the bias up a little bit and turn the red down and bring the blue up a little bit. So I'm pretty close to a white line there.
There's so many mascaras out there. Absolutely. And there's a lot of really good ones. And for 2 years
Still,
in a row, you have said no.
It's lost a lot. It used to have a really bright, clear picture, and it just doesn't anymore. And you can tell that it's the CRT getting lazy. I mean, it's just not the crisp, sharp. It's soft. I don't know how to describe it other than just soft.
Most mascaras kind of just do the same thing to my lashes. Right? You've never tried Bad Gal Bang. Or if you're thinking, it's okay, I bought a mascara, at the beginning of summer. You have to
Brat. She's a brat.
2 3 months.
Look at that.
I have to stress, this is once a year. It's $13, and we are giving you a year's supply of the #1 most prestige mascara in the entire U.S. I want you to think about that. You've got...
This is the same CRT tester I initially did the initial analysis on the set when it was pretty much new old stock when we put it into service, so we'll know. And there's something I want to mention here, which is sort of off topic, which are, of course, this hurricane. And I could swear that that hurricane did so much damage and took so many people offline, subscribers to this channel, that I've actually been able to see it in the statistics and people that regularly watch and comment, which have been absent. It's more than subtle. And I'm not one of these people that really dwells on, looking at metrics and statistics. But I'll just say this. I would not be one bit surprised if those hurricanes, they say there's another one headed towards Florida this Wednesday. I would not be one bit surprised if they did not change the outcome of the presidential election. That is yet to be seen, but if I can see a dip in the metrics on a YouTube channel, wow. And I really hurt for those people. I hope they were prepared. We live in earthquake country here, and I'm, the big one is something I've been hearing about my whole life, and I always keep that in the back of my mind. Anyway, enough of that. So the cutoff, I got everything up here. We are at, well, we're still not at 6.3 volts. Let's get up to 6.3 volts here. And let's do cutoff. Wow, we're actually still looking really good. Let me get this set. We'll just test it at 2 voltages. This thing is doing really well. Almost 11,000 hours. And it's still... I mean, you see the CRT tester on this channel, so you should be sort of familiar with. So let's go down to 4.7 volts. I have to go down a little bit. And it tested really well at 4.7 volts when it was new. It tested really well all the way down to 3 volts when it was new. So let's go to cutoff. You can see there's quite a bit of drop off now. So let's set our cutoff. Okay. So there's the emissions at 4.7 volts. Now when it was new, the emissions would have been up here on all of them. So it is declining. 11,000 hours, there is noticeable decline. And this pot was replaced in one of the videos. This one carbon tracked and went up in flames and blew the circuit breaker. This year, we'll have to go over what I did this year, but it was a power resistor went open. That power resistor down there went open. I think one of the transistors in the IF went open. But hell, the damn horizontal output and damper and vertical output and horizontal oscillator tube, all the color demodulation tubes are all original. But we're starting to see it a little bit in the CRT now. I think I want to check the focus voltage because it's not so dead that it should be so blurry.
Wet brush. I think I told you the story once. I actually had my husband turn around and go back to the hotel because I said, honey, I left my wet brush at the hotel. He goes, we'll just buy another one. I go, there is no other one. There's only the wet brush. I was introduced to the wet brush probably about 15 years ago at a hair salon in Minneapolis. And as soon as you get out of that, shampoo and conditioner, and they get a brush and get ready to go into your head, I almost braced myself. Like,
I'm at a total loss for words. So I had the high voltage set at 24 kilovolts using this exact probe and meter, and the high voltage has dropped about 5 kilovolts. No wonder why it's soft and blurry. So no wonder why it's gotten kind of soft and blurry.
It could be thick, it could be wet, it could be dry.
I also got a new Geiger counter that claims that it'll check out low-level X-rays. Ooh. She's talking about the IntelliFlex bristle.
We're actually not making this up. This is our genuine enthusiasm because we all
Really?
have that one tool that we think, gosh, I will absolutely not know what to do if I do
These
not
people
have
are like more effective at selling garbage than lobbyists.
or a hotel, gift closet and figure out what am I going to
that wet brush for more than 10 years before I finally...
God, I might have to cut this video short and go buy a wet brush with IntelliFlex bristles.
So take a look at your brushes right at this price, and we have it on...
Okay, I'm gonna pull the cap off the high voltage regulator, and we'll see if the high voltage goes up. Let's try and see here what happens with the IntelliFlex bristles.
Look at this. Kenny using that speed dry brush. You will absolutely love this. The bristle is a little bit thicker too.
Oh God, 32 kilovolts? Ooh, talk about IntelliFlex bristles. So here's what we should do. This is the Radicode. And this is a scintillation counter, and it says that it will do x-rays. This is a wide band. So what I should do is I should put this there and let it go up to 32 kilovolts and see if it picks it up. I don't want this thing to get, if the high voltage hits this, that'll be the end of it. Okay, here we go. And I don't want this to go on for long because this can ruin the flyback. But we're going to let this go up to...
Remove all the natural oils that are on your skin as well. And then very easy to control the amount of the product that you use, because there's like a little spatula in there. So you just get a little bit of the product out, about the size of a pea. Okay. So that
Okay. Damn. Try that again.
you don't dab it on. Oh, you don't tap? No, don't tap like you would with any other item.
Oh yeah, it's getting it.
This one, because it's purely cosmetic, it only works where you wear it. So
Okay. All right, that's enough of that. Yeah, it didn't like that. Now, I honestly don't know if it went ape because of just the high voltage in the air or radiation from the high voltage rectifier tube. I don't want to screw with that anymore. What I'm going to do is we need to adjust the high voltage. Obviously, something changed where the high voltage regulation is clamping down harder. Okay, I turned the high voltage up as high as it would go, and I'm only getting 20 kilovolts. So something in this thing has changed to where it's causing the high voltage regulation to over-regulate. Some resistors or something have changed in the set.
This was the first skincare product that Lancome ever developed.
Is this thing like...
They were commissioned by the Royal Military to create this as the soldiers came home from war. Nonetheless, it's evolved over the years. This actually has...
I mean, if I unplug the high voltage regulator tube and the high voltage just goes through the ceiling, then, you know, it's... I'll try changing the 6BK4. Well, let's try that. Okay, here's the 6BK4. 6EL4, but 6BK4. I've got a replacement. That tube was not original. That was replaced before we put the set into service, and I believe I discovered that. So here's another one. And I believe the 6BK4C has the leaded glass to prevent radiation. So let's try this. Now I would think as this failed it would regulate less, but maybe these are designed to, as a safety thing, to regulate more as they wear out. I don't know.
If your skin is dry, if it's parched, if it's dehydrated. For me, my skin is pretty normal, but we're going into fall and winter. I know I need to get ahead of my winter skin. If you're like that or you're just dehydrated all the time, you need to add Nutrix Royale to your body routine. It melts.
Same thing.
It nurtures your skin for
20 kilovolts. It's not the tube, it's something else. So I'll tell you something about this. This does not like the horizontal pulses because it just goes nuts if I get it near here.
This qualifies you for the beauty box. You get 2 of them. They're great hostess gifts. They're great teacher gifts. They're great stocking stuffers. Keep one for yourself and give it a try. Give one away. And really enjoy this formula. You know, is it picking up radiation there, or is it picking up just the high voltage noise? To start with, look at Kirsten. I call these. I know Robert said it really pretty. I just call them pantyhose for my life. They really truly are pantyhose in the dark. And I don't. None of us want to wear silk stockings anymore, right? But look at when Kirsten puts it on her one leg. Look at how much smoother, how much firmer, how much more even toned her skin looks, and that's instant. No. And that's going to stay high.
It is a pigment palette, so you can use.
I'm going to get a second opinion here from another doctor, and
Yes. I also want to.
This doctor agrees. We got low high voltage here, so a resistor or something must have changed value in the high voltage regulator circuit. to where that tube is just clamping the hell out of the voltage. And that's why it's soft and blurry. These things need 24 to 25 kilovolts to have a nice, crisp, bright picture. So we're going to have to take this apart and diagnose it. I might make that a separate video. I want to keep this sorted to the 1 year anniversary, but we definitely, I'm sorry, 2 year anniversary, 1 year from the last 1 year. But we definitely got a problem here. So I'm going to adjust this and we'll look at the range on this high voltage adjustment control. And this should really go from probably about 17 to 27, let's just say. So right there we're at 20.
For your entire face. So pick your
turning
palette.
it down.
What you're looking for. I'm going to start with one of the dark colors. I want you to see this. Take your
So look
brush,
at that. It'll clamp down
pigment is in these eyeshadows.
to almost like 7 kilovolts. Turning it up, that's all the way up. And then when I turn it all the way up, it comes up real slow.
The contour. If you want to add a little bit more, do it again.
So here's the circuit right here for the Packard Bell. We got 1.5 meg here and a 1.5 meg here. Those are a matched pair. We got a 10 meg here, and then we follow this over here, and we got another 10 meg up here, right here. And I guess this helps it regulate with the brightness. So that sort of assists in the regulation. So I'm going to order those resistors. See, it's just habit to say capacitors. I guess this capacitor could be bad too. Maybe that's gone up in value. That's why there's that really slow response. Maybe that's become leaky. Surprised that's not a disc. Let's take a look at the statistics here, because that's what this is all about with this TV. So this is the first 375 days because I was late 10 days. This is the second 365 days, so we're on its second year of operation right now. So we had all these failures the first part. We've only had 3 failures on the second part, which we left off with on 9/1/23 with the audio tube. And the next failure was 2/7/24 at 7,219 hours. It was the first IF transistor. We had already replaced the second on 8/1 at 4,370 hours. And then a month later we had a power resistor, the big power resistor, fail on 3/5/24 at 7,616 hours. And then that was pretty much it. And then it sort of started to get dim and blurry in that time period between, well, sort of over the course of the whole year. 10/6/24 is when I went to make the video on the second year, and basically we're discovering drifted resistors in the high voltage, and the 3A3 is getting weak, although we're not going to replace that yet. So total hours for the second year, 5,935 hours. Total power consumption, 1,483,750. So I was looking, and our electricity rate went from 35 cents a kilowatt up to 39 cents a kilowatt. So I pulled out an electric bill and I was looking at that, and we have very complex electric billing because this is a one-party state and it's all about green energy here, right? So 39 cents a kilowatt. So the reason why it went from 35 to 39 is we have all of these new green power charges. So I'm sure everybody will, probably a good chance everybody will get to experience this on their bill in the next 4 years. It's a good chance of that. So we no 5 cents a kilowatt here. Like I said, we're at 39 cents a kilowatt, and I'm in one of the lower tiers because I don't run the air conditioning. We're based on tiered billing, which is how much you use. The more you use, the more expensive it gets, and time of day billing. So it's very complex. The best way to figure it out is just to take kilowatt hours divided by the cost of the bill, and you get 39 cents, and just simplify it. So 39 cents a kilowatt's what we're paying, and the set itself is using $1.58 worth of electricity a day, $578 worth of electricity to power this TV for the past 365 days. So pretty good, only really 2 to 3 faults over the course of a year. Definitely would have resulted in 3 service calls. Can you imagine a modern day TV needing 3 service calls in 1 year? Since this video series is mostly about late 1960s tube color television and hybrid, I found this, and I think we should take a few minutes and sort of review it because it's pretty interesting. No major surprises here, but it's pretty interesting. So these are the most popular tubes in 1969 and 1970. And I'm not going to go over, this was in the Sam's Photo Fact magazine. I'm not going to go through all of this, but I don't think there are a lot of surprises here, but I think we should take a minute and discuss it. So, as we've seen with this Packard Bell, we haven't changed any tubes really in 11,000 hours. But number 1 was 6GH8. And this is how many units. This is just General Electric tubes. So 6FQ7, 6DW4, 3A3, and the next 5, a lot of techs would change those as a group if the set came in for any one of them. So this is the horizontal oscillator, this is the damper, this is the high voltage rectifier, this is the RCA 6JE6, this is the RCA horizontal output, and then of course the 6BK4 is the high voltage regulator. So a lot of techs would change these 5 as a group, you know, if they were doing a flyback or if any one of them failed. I've been told, and I've seen a lot of receipt books where they would just sell these as a group to keep it from coming back. 6EA8, I think that's a tuner tube. 6GF7, that's the vertical output in RCA. You're going to see some action on that later in this video. Interesting action. 6JS6, that is the zenith horizontal output. 6BZ6 is an IF tube. 6AQ5 is an audio output. 5U4 is the rectifier that was used in a lot of everything. Audio stuff, old black and white TVs, of course. 6DQ6, 8FQ7, 50C5, that's your all-American radio. The 8FQ7 is a series string version of the 6FQ7 horizontal multi-vibrator. 6G7, that's part of the RCA color demodulation. 6KT8. 6KT8 is Zenith's version of the 6GH8. Let's see, 6U8. These are all front end, of course, 12AX7. Look at this. 650,000 12AX7s. 2AV2, that's focus rectifier. 1V2, same thing. 6EJ7. So 1B3, everybody's favorite 1B3. So in 1970, if they were selling a lot of 1B3s, that would suggest there were still a lot of black and whites in service in 1970. 560,000. Now remember, this is just General Electric tubes. So 35W4, of course, that's the All-American 5. Rectifier 6AU6, that's an IF. 12BE6, that's a IF or front end tube for the All-American 5. So still, in 1970, there was still a lot of All-American 5 radios and black and white sets in service. 6LB6 is the more heavy-duty version of the 6JS6 for zenith horizontal output. So we could tell that the 6LB6 was a better tube. And then the next step above LB is LR and then LF. They're all kind of interchangeable. So the weakest would be the 6JS6. Then the next one up would be 6LR6, then 6LB6, and 6LF6. 17JZ8, that's a series string vertical output. So I wonder how many mistakes I made in that. But since this is about TV, this is very interesting to actually look back on what tubes were being sold at what volume. And this decreased usage and increased usage is sort of interesting. So the decrease, the following tube types, 1969. So between 1969 and 1970, you can see the old black and white stuff was dying out. The 6AX4, that was the 50s black and white damper diode. The 6SN7, the 5U4. So this stuff was dying out. The old black and white stuff was dying out between 69 and 70 and being replaced by the color tube stuff. See, these are all your color. This was increasing, this was decreasing. So your color was increasing, your old 50s black and white sets were hitting the recycle bin between 69 and 70. Okay, today is October 12th, and we're going to go after this low high voltage issue. The high voltage is about 4,000 to 5,000 volts low, which around 20%. On these color TVs, it needs to be up there. So first thing I'm going to do is change the high voltage rectifier. We already did the regulator and it didn't fix it. I'm going to try a 3CU3. It's a better tube than a 3A3. Today, October 12th, 24, and we're now at 11,351 hours, 11,351 hours. So let me pop a new high voltage. We're right at about 19.5 kilovolts. Of course, that tube is in here. Wow, is it hot? I don't think I can touch that. Wow. Wow, that's the original tube, too. Japan. Ugh. Okay. That's a 3A3. This is a 3CU3. It's a better tube. You can see the cathode's actually in a tube there, the filament. You know, if the high voltage goes up to 34 kilovolts with the regulator disconnected, I would certainly think that the problem is the regulator's over clamping down on the high voltage. But I would hate to pull this chassis out of there and then it end up being the tube. So let's verify this.
Show off to the world. Ask your eczema specialist about.
Ooh.
Montana mom Jermaine Charlo disappeared without a trace in 2018. Now authorities have released.
Well, it's better,
Exclusively to 48 hours.
but it's still low. I got the high voltage turned all the way up.
Has a story.
Highway 93 in Montana. It's hard to miss Jermaine Charlo's haunting gaze. She disappeared.
Let me let it warm up for a minute because it started higher, but it's coming down now. So now adjusting the high voltage with the new high voltage rectifier tube, we're going from 22 down to 18. So I think it's just, I would expect it to go 18 to 30 or 20 to 30. So something's causing that regulator to crimp too hard, and it's just that we got a better, this has obviously gotten weak. It's higher internal resistance. So obviously that thing is just crimping too hard. The regulator's clamping too hard. I mean, even coming up that 2.5 kilovolts, it's definitely noticeable how much brighter it is. So one more time, I'm going to disconnect the high voltage regulator. Wow, is that hot? And we're gonna watch this. I'm only gonna do it for a second because I don't want to. Power's been applied.
Yeah, definitely a lot to come from this for sure. For 48 hours, correspondent Michelle Miller, thank you so much.
There you go. Okay, here's the chassis outside on the workbench where we can work on it and listen to the airplanes and the birds. These are those two 1.5 meg matched pair 5% resistors. Now the problem with these things is you can't desolder them and measure them because as soon as you heat them up you change the value on them. This is one of the 10 megs. There's two 10 megs and two 1.5 megs. Okay, this one is measuring. Why do they have a 1.5 meg and a 10 meg in parallel? It's measuring 1.36. Why would they do that? Well, this one is measuring 1.6 megs. This is the capacitor that's in the circuit, and I ordered that. I don't think that's bad. Usually disc capacitors, if they do go bad at all, they arc and burn. Well, they really do have a 10 meg and a 1.5 meg in parallel, and I'll tell you why they're using 1 watt. It's for the voltage. Half-watt resistors are probably only rated for 250 volts. You can see they have a spark gap here. So they're using 1 watt resistors not because they need the power handling, they need the voltage. And the resistors I got, I believe, are 500 volts. I did make sure of that. I'm thinking about cutting them out so we can get an accurate measurement. What's 5% of 1.5 million?
The answer is 75,000.
So if we do 75,000 plus 1.5 million, let me just ask this stupid thing. What's 75,000 plus 1.5 million?
The answer is 1,575,000.
So I did cut them out. I cut that one out, and that's our So that would be our upper 5%, and we're over that. So let's check this one here. Remember, these are supposed to be a matched pair, whatever that means. So that one is, they're not matched, and that one is well over. So let's see what this 10 meg reads. This is just a 10%. It's measuring 12 megs. So 10% of 10 megs would be 1 meg, right? So 11 would be our top. So these have all gone up in value a little bit. Now, is that enough to cause the high voltage to do what it's doing? I don't know. We're going to change them. There's also another 10 meg somewhere here. I got to find it. It connects to the video circuit. This one here is the other 10 meg, which sort of assists in the regulation. This one's measuring 10.6, so it's okay. I'm not going to change it. So it looks like this is a correct statement, because if you look at the way this pot is configured, this is ground. This is grounded to the chassis. So turning the high voltage up is turning it this way. So right now, if I measure it, it should be about 0 ohms. Let me do that. So measuring across the pot, remember I had the high voltage turned all the way up, is 18 ohms. So if these resistors increase in value, that's the same as turning the pot down, or turning the high voltage down. The lower the value of these resistors are, the higher the high voltage. So these resistors did go up in value a little bit, so that would decrease the high voltage. It would be the same as turning the pot down. I got 10 meg, 1 watt, and these are Dale. These are made in the US. I should have bought these for both. And I got the 1.5 meg, 1%. These are, I forget who made, Yago or something. These are Taiwan. Taiwan's okay, I guess. This thing has a lot of Japanese parts in it anyway. 1.5 meg comes in at 1.496. The 10 meg Dale rings in right at 10.01, 10.02. So this one is reading 2.4 megs higher than the new one. I'll have to go back and look at the initial analysis video. Did this flyback look like that? We had a couple really hot weeks out here where it was just over 100 degrees in the house, and we're just used to it now. And we don't run the air conditioning because of the price. 39 cents a kilowatt, and it's a tiered system, so the more you use, the higher it goes. It's not that big. You just drink some ice water during the heat of the day. It's not that big of a deal. Anyway, let's check this 4.7, because the focus does seem a little soft. The 4.7 meg is measuring 4.9. That's no problem. Maybe the focus tube's getting a little tired. Sort of also looks like there's some beginnings of tracking there, or dust. See that? I wiped it off of this side. There are our new 1% metal film resistors ready to go in the high voltage regulation circuit. Let's take a few minutes and check all the electrolytic filter capacitors, because that's such an obsession with people in old electronics. And this set is from 1968, and I've only changed the filters that went bad, which were 2 of them. I've only replaced what went bad. So we'll start with this one right here. Good. We're doing ESR. We don't have to worry about leakage or anything like that, because the set is used 16 hours a day. So, Okay, let's check these over here. Still good. That's section 1. That one's been replaced. That one's getting a little bit soft right there, although that could be like a 2 microfarad. Okay, let's do this one. That one is still well in the green. Okay, that was this filter right here. Now let's do this one over here. This is another main filter. You can see it's got the, if I could get it in frame, it's got the it's got the rectifier diodes hooked to it. Okay, here's section 1, which is still in the green, section 2, which is still in the green, and section 3, which is still in the green. So, original electrolytic capacitors from 1968 with 11,000 hours on them, still looking pretty good. Let's do this one. Excellent. Let's do this one right here, made in Hong Kong. It's got to be good. And it is. Let's see, what other capacitors do we have? I think there might be 1 or 2 on the top. Okay, there's one right here. And depending on the value, that one might be getting a little bit tired. If that's like 100 microfarad, it's getting tired. But again, this is a ongoing life documentation test. I'm not preemptively changing something that doesn't manifest itself in a problem. All that's been changed in the past 365 days is that resistor right there and this transistor right here, where I used a modern surface mount part and I soldered leads to it. You know, now that NTE is gone, we need to start figuring stuff like this out, where we can get modern parts from DigiKey or Mauser and make them work in this old stuff. I guess I'll pop it back in and we'll get the high voltage adjusted and hopefully get the focus to work right. I might need to change that tube. I got the chassis reinstalled. Let's see what the high voltage is now with just the resistors changed. I still got the high voltage all the way up, and I went back to the weak original high voltage rectifier tube. So let's see what it is now. The instructions are 24 kilovolts with the brightness all the way down, and we had that when this thing was good, so I know it'll produce that. You can hear it crackle now. Well, there we go. So we're getting there with the high voltage all the way up, which is not exactly great.
Into a bowl of water so I can rub off the shell. Now I'm gently rubbing off the rest of the calcium carbonate shell that's been dissolved by the vinegar to reveal the membrane underneath. The acid in the vinegar removed our calcium carbonate shell from our egg, but it left behind a thin, semi-permeable membrane that surrounds the egg's inside. Now, in comparison to a normal raw egg, you can see this egg has expanded quite a lot. That's because water from the vinegar passed through this membrane, making it swell. The flow of water through a semi-permeable membrane like this...
It's all the noise in the audio now.
As Sanders tries to test the left side of that one. Talk more about the... Here's a screen, here's a flame flicker.
Let me find something that's not copyright.
Won't last, so order right now. You know.
Star shower. Is it just this thing? Is
and decorate your home with the Star Shower Ultra 9.
Call 1-800-611-3302. That's 1-800-611-3302 or visit ultra9.com. To call 1-800-611-3302 or visit ultra9.com now.
Welcome to Golden, Colorado. We do the holidays big. In fact, when the sun goes down tonight,
it could definitely be a little bit sharper.
And we're going to light the lights. But
My gosh, they're awesome.
I've never seen anything like it. They're just incredible. They make the other lights look even better.
Oh yes, my star shower makes everything incredible.
Okay, that was so much fun.
That was so much fun. I'm definitely not going to miss that next year.
Good.
Look, we can easily see why your hometown and really all of America, they love the incredible Star Shower Ultra 9. It instantly
Well,
transforms your home into a spectacular
that tube is weak. That rectifier tube, but why is the focus soft? Let me check the focus voltage. Well, the focus voltage is 4.79. I wonder if that's at a peak. Well, that seems like the lowest it'll go.
Absolutely, that's because the holidays and decorative lights go hand in hand. And now it's easier than ever to choose from 9 different lighting effects and immerse your home in thousands of brilliant.
Well, that seems like it's in the range.
Dazzling Star Shower Ultra 9 laser light.
So go ahead and order right now and bring that holiday magic to your home this year. And then you can make brand new holiday memories.
Yeah,
Now, we're coming up on your last chance to order.
Is it not going low enough? I think I'm getting it sort of back to where it was. I'm getting it, adjusting the focus and getting it sharpened up. And yeah, I think it looks a little bit better. It looks a lot better. That replacing that high voltage rectifier I think would help, but I'm not going to do that right now because it's not what's causing all the issue. So we'll wait until that goes bad and then we'll get our Star Shower. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Wow.
Star Shower Ultra 9 for just $39.99. A great value. But wait, order in the next 30 minutes. So what about you? Are you ready to capture more dirt, more debris?
Yeah, those resistors and adjusting the focus brought it back to what it used to be. Very close. It's sharp again. It looks good.
Besides a finished book.
I don't know why in the camera the color looks a lot weaker than it does.
Bonnie's trying to convince me to write again. She won't let it go.
Copyright on that. Definitely on that. Definitely on that. Did they get rid of MTV Classics? Really? We don't have MTV Classics anymore? Oh, here it is. 9-inch nails. I always liked MTV Classics. This is good.
Like a grab bar, if you need to hold on to something for added safety. And did you know, Christina, that there's a wide variety of accessories to choose from, and they can all be customized?
Yeah.
For making Quaker
Action about those fantastic polls that Rob was just showing us. Let's go to our great special guest.
Definitely much better.
The college spends per student, exclusivity, how few students they allow in, and prestige. They do a survey of
Drifted resistors in the high voltage regulation.
Achieve a major defeat over an American.
International issues.
Okay.
picked up, keeping it locked inside the dust cup and out of the air.
We're good.
Family breathe, guaranteed. In fact,
1 year, 2 year update. 2 year update. And just for documentation, the focus does seem sharpest right around 4.8 kilovolts. Why am I not changing the high voltage rectifier? Well, the purpose of this experiment was to see what would fail at what hour, what would dictate a service call. I don't think it would dictate a service call yet. The resistors probably would have. Did the resistors fail due to age or use? And probably a little bit of both. I believe the backup chassis I have for this has the same problem, so the resistors are probably have gone down in value on it too. So we'll probably be back here in less than 1,000 hours to change that tube. When that tube goes bad, it'll start blooming and the picture will start bouncing when the scenes change. So anyway, yeah, I'm not preemptively doing anything on this. That's why I haven't totally recapped it. This is a documentation project, not a shotgun project. But I will say that it being that 4,000 volts low, that really made all the difference in the picture quality. It's sharp and the colors are bright again. I don't know why the camera is not really showing it.
For cleaning places too difficult to reach. It's yours, free. And this deal gets even better. Order right now and get it all with free shipping. That's right, free shipping.
I am so confident in the quality of my Shark Power Detect, I'm going to give you my incredible 5-year VIP.
Good for you.
To melt expanding foam like snow. Remove
Isn't that Phil Swift?
And abracadabra is gentle enough to remove duct tape from this tissue. Now that's amazing. Nothing's quicker on tape and stickers than abracadabra.
Anyway, it sounds like Phil Swift from Flex Paste. I think I have to reopen this video back up because about 5 hours or so after I put it back together, after fixing the regulator resistors, this is what happened. The vertical collapsed. And see, it's getting better. It happened pretty fast, and I don't think it's something I left loose. The first thing I'm going to do is open it up and check that and make sure everything's plugged in tight. This would have resulted in a service call back to the house.
And abracadabra pays for itself. And if you're not completely satisfied, keep the bottle and we'll refund your money 100%. Call or go online to order your 8-ounce bottle of Abracadabra Wonder Cleaner now, and we'll upgrade your order to our jumbo 16-ounce bottle.
So yeah, the vertical,
Order now.
we lost vertical deflection, but see how it's getting better as it warms up? Look at how it's folded over on the bottom. Something failed. Something failed. With the way it started out small and how it's kind of gotten bigger, really makes me think the tube failed, the 6GF7. Okay, the time is now 11:362. So yeah, it ran like 5 hours and then the vertical started to wig out after the last repair. I want to check the convergence plug, this tube, the vertical output.
You do it at the same time. You hit the line.
Service switch.
Put a fortified line here, and I want to add color.
No, still.
There's going to be another.
This is the vertical output tube, and I'm going to try and substitute this. This is a Japanese 6GF7. If this failed, it failed really fast. It didn't fade. It just died in the matter of a minute. Here's a 6GF7. This one says new on it. It is a GE tube. It's got the etched number into the glass. Let's try this.
Let's get back to the line. If you're working with
Oh yeah.
This took a long time. This was a friend in Tucson. Any mistake is going to be there and cannot be removed.
Yep, that brought it right back.
Behind the edge of his face. Like the corrective line in the bottom of the face.
So the tube died in a matter of hours. It didn't slowly fade away, it suddenly died. Here's the first section. Well into the good. Here's the second section. But we know the tube is no good. Let me drop the heater down a little bit. So if I drop the filament voltage down to about 5.5 volts, I just measured it. It comes down into the weak here. So it actually looks like the tube didn't just die. It just seems like it is rapidly getting weak. Like when it hits the end of its life, it's like a hard knee. It just goes like this and then boop. It's not like it goes like this. You know, it's like it sort of goes along flat and then the emissions just suddenly start to drop off. And that's what I expect with the CRT. You know, it's going to go 20,000 hours pretty stable, and then in 500 hours it'll be gone. But this really died quick. I mean, it went from working perfect to starting to roll to a shrunken picture within the matter of 2 or 3 hours. I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to leave this tube tester right here. I'm going to leave all the settings, and you can see we're right in the middle there. I'm going to put the tube back in the set and let it run for another 10 hours, and let's see what happens. Okay, I went back to the 6GF7. Let's let it run for the day and see what happens. And all of a sudden it looks much better since I put it in the tester. Look at the difference. I mean, it's still shrunk, but not like it was. The vertical output tube seemed to do okay all day yesterday. Let's see how it wakes up today. I don't know why putting it in the tester would have rejuvenated it or fixed it. That's a trip.
Luxury for only $299 plus tax per month.
Get more at Simpson Buick GMC too.
Lease a new 2024 GMC Sierra.
It never did this before. It always came up full screen.
Family of dealerships. We're big enough to deal, small enough to care.
Anthem Blue Cross and Common Threads are helping school communities learn about healthy food prep. In LA, they're joined by the Sparks. Learn more at anthem.com/ca/sparks.
Soft on crime politicians like George Gascon make our communities less safe. Crime has skyrocketed since Gascon eliminated cash bail, putting violent criminals back on our streets. What's worse, George Whitesides stands with them, funding Gascon's campaign and pushing the same...
This is a trip. This is a trippy failure for a tube.
Even if the criminals committed domestic violence, George Gascon and George...
And there it is. It's locked in.
Our family's in danger. I'm Mike Garcia, and I approve this message.
Los Angeles celebrates
George Gascon and George Whitesides with George Soros. The 3 Gs. Well, let's see how this does on the second day. It seems like the tube has sort of woken back up. I don't get this at all.
It's always a good thing, you know, and we're doing this new setup and this new show, and so exciting to have it.
Yeah, we're just rolling right
It's like the tube is getting better. It's like it's fixing itself. But it never did this before. But you can see how it's gotten better than yesterday. This will be the third day since the vertical output tube failed. It actually seems to be healing itself. This is sort of the weirdest thing I think I've seen working on electronics. Let's see how it is this morning. Last night it was full screen, just like nothing ever happened. Sounds like it's going to have a copyright on it. See how it's bigger now? It's still not right, but... It's almost filling the screen. And it will be in a few minutes. So this vertical output tube has healed itself. This is the weirdest thing. Day 4 of the self-healing vertical multi-vibrator tube. I don't understand this one. I think we might pull it out and test it later today because I got to get this video published, edited, and published. But let's see how it does this morning. Look at that. It is... The tube has literally healed itself.
Hey there, welcome to the KTLA 5 Morning News at 7. Good morning, I'm Frank Buckley. Happening now, fans of former One Direction member Liam Payne in mourning after the singer's fatal fall from the balcony of an Argentina hotel yesterday. The latest
Carcass Point Cigar xylophone. This is Thursday evening, and that vertical output tube seems to just be doing better and better. I was going to pull it out and test it and see if the emissions had come up, but obviously they have, because it's just pulled down from the top a little tiny bit. I'm not going to do anything with it until it fails. It's a very interesting problem, this self-healing tube. So I don't know quite what to think about that. We're just going to let it go and actually replace it when it dies.